Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Tonight, Acting Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun assures Nigerians of improved security of lives and property with the backing of new police techniques, or policing techniques that is, in the offing. Troops of the Nigerian Army bust baby-making factory and human trafficking camp in Adamawa State, northeast Nigeria, arrest 7 suspects. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has said that CBN directive, directing banks to obtain information on customers' social media handles violates Nigerians' right to freedom of expression and privacy. And calm returns after heavily armed Russian mercenaries withdraw from the southern Russian city of Rostov under a deal that halted their rapid advance on Moscow. We begin tonight with security, and in particular, words of assurance from the Acting Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, that the general security of lives and property in Nigeria will be improved in all ramifications. Mr. Egbetokun says this will be achieved through an array of approaches that will be of immense importance to the general public safety, which are being outlined by the present leadership of the Nigeria Police. A statement by the Force Public Relations Officer, Mr. Olumiyiwa Adejobi, says the acting IGP has also reiterated the commitment of the Nigeria Police under his watch to attain its primacy role in the internal security architecture of the country. Now, the statement further says the police chief will be meeting with commanders of the 79 police mobile force squadrons on Monday, June the 26th, to upskill them on new operational strategies for improved training, deployments, and enhanced tactical engagements for better public safety and general security. Meanwhile, troops of the Nigerian Army have raided a baby-making factory and human trafficking camp in Adamawa State, where 7 suspects were apprehended. The brigade commander, 23 Armored Brigade Yola, Brigadier General Mohammed Jibrin Gambo, disclosed this while parading the suspects and their victims at the brigade headquarters in Yola, the Adamawa State capital. According to him, troops of the brigade were on a special operations in the border or on the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon when they received credible information about the operations of the criminals.
Vehicles conveying suspected human traffickers and their victims, accompanied by heavily armed soldiers, arrived at the headquarters of the 23 Armored Brigade Yola, the Adamawa State capital. They are received by the brigade commander and other officers. The victims stepped down from the military truck, followed by the suspected traffickers. According to information made available to Channels Television, the 7 male suspects operated a baby-making factory and human trafficking camp in Adamawa State at a border settlement less than a kilometer from Belel district, the last community before entering the Cameroon Republic. The camp allegedly had 17 young girls within the ages of 19 to 21 who have been in the custody of the suspects for about 2 to 3 years without the knowledge of their families. The brigade commander, 23 Armored Brigade, Major General Mohammed Jibrin Gambo, gives an insight into the rescue operation.
The troops on special operation in conjunction with the Department of State Security Services were on special operation, and they bumped into a baby-making factory between the borders of Cameroon and Nigeria at Bele. And they were able to apprehend 7 suspects and 17 young girls who are between the ages of 19 and 21.
According to some of the victims, they were accommodated in a single room and slept on mats. They also disclosed that the money realized were held back by their captors so that they cannot escape. A suspect in one of the victims, however, claims that they are dancers and nothing more.
What brought me here is that I woke up in the morning and discovered that we have been surrounded by soldiers some few kilometers from Benue on the Cameroon border.
When we woke up in the morning, we realized that we've been surrounded by soldiers inside our camp. We only just came here to dance.
According to Major General Gambo, the suspects will be profiled and handed over to the relevant agencies for prosecution. He further discloses that investigations reveal that there is a proliferation of human trafficking camps across the Nigerian-Cameroon border of Adamawa State. Major General Gambo says there is an urgent need to neutralize this ugly trend and actions must be taken by NAPTIP and other security agencies to end these criminal activities.
The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has asked the leadership of the Central Bank of Nigeria to remove the provisions in its regulations directing banks to obtain information on customers' social media handles for the purpose of identification. The rights group believe the CBN's directive violates Nigerians' rights to freedom of expression and privacy and is inconsistent with the rule of law. In the letter, SERAP argues that the CBN ought to contribute to the advancement of respect for the rule of law and human rights in the discharge of its statutory functions and not violate it. The CBN had mandated banks and other financial institutions to implement and comply with the mandatory provisions on customers' social media handles in the Apex Bank's regulations, a policy SERAP is strongly opposed to and has already threatened legal action. Former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honourable Yakubu Dogara, has commended President Bola Tinubu for some of the decisions he has taken since assuming office, particularly the removal of petrol subsidy. While speaking on the sidelines of a Thanksgiving service in Kaduna State, the former Speaker says that President Tinubu has so far demonstrated leadership and should be commended by all citizens. However, he insists that the President should ensure that all the looted funds are recovered from the oil cabals.
I have said it, I've tweeted about it, I support it 100%. Because if care is not taken, we'll run into a situation whereby the government cannot even pay salaries. Basic services, the government cannot afford them. I know that it has brought in a lot of pains for our people. I've urged the President and his administration to do all within their power, to recover the money from some of these subsidy cabals who have stashed this money in foreign banks so that the money that they have taken running into trillions that were illegally collected can now be plugged back into resolving some of the problems created by the subsidy withdrawal. So it was a fantastic decision. We stand by him on this one. Like I said before, whether you support him or not, this is what is truthful. It is what we ought to have done since yesterday. So I'm wholly for it. And I thank him for being courageous enough to do that. And he should show that courage by pursuing these subsidy cabals. They are strong. They are not stronger than Nigeria. Nigeria has a standing army. They have EFCC. They have police. They have Navy. These people don't have any of those institutions. So they should go after them and recover our money.
Meanwhile, an economist, Mr. Paul Alaje, believes that at least half of the savings from the removal of subsidy on petrol, estimated to be up to 7 trillion naira per year, should be invested in national infrastructure development. Mr. Alaje told Channels Television's Ladia Keridolale on our current affairs program Newsnight that citizens must transparently see where the money is going.
That for us to benefit truly, a certain amount must be withdrawn. These monies must now be jointly managed between the federal, the state, and even the local government, so that we can put this on project. Whether we want to use it on hospitals, or we want to invest on more roads, or we want to invest, which I'm recommending, more rails, so we can connect more. And why have I said rail? What you will see immediately from July is you're going to see even higher increase in inflation, not because of commodity imports, but mostly because of food inflation. As I talk to you, the major driver, the major reason, the major cause of inflation is food inflation at over 24%. Now, what do? We need to connect farm-producing zones by rail. We need to connect them so the cost of bringing this food to urban center, town or cities or villages will reduce significantly. And I can tell you that if you remove 7 trillion naira from your budget every year, for the next 10 years, that is 70 trillion naira. I can tell you this will do a lot. And I hope that authority will do this. Well, not just to be biased for a section of the country or, Nigeria come with a lot of, sometimes you wonder why we talk more about religion and we talk about ethnic group. But, for us to say this is a Nigerian project and we want to invest back into the country, that time we are making the long run get closer to our people while they are still alive. And I hope that authorities will do this. From 2024, perhaps when President Tinubu submits his first budget in office.
For the full interview, Mr. Alaje, do watch Newsnight tomorrow, Monday, June 26th at 9 p.m. right here on Channels Television. The inauguration of the 10th Assembly has come and gone. Well, the elections of the major principal officers of Parliament concluded, and now it's time for federal legislators to face the business of lawmaking, oversight and representation. In this report, our National Assembly correspondent, Linda Kigbe, examines some of the key issues the 10th Assembly must pay attention to immediately.
Senator Goswill Obodo-Akpabio.
The election of the major principal officers of a National Assembly has been concluded, and so the politics of who gets what is almost over, and it's time for the 10th Assembly to get to work immediately. The 10th Assembly is coming on board at a time when the country is experiencing major economic challenges, ranging from revenue shortfalls, huge budget deficit and debt burden, as well as worsening inflation and high unemployment rates. The newly inaugurated National Assembly is on a 2-week recess at the moment, but these analysts want federal lawmakers to hit the ground running when they resume.
The president seems to be moving on a very fast lane, and I would expect the 10th Assembly to be able to match the energy and pace at which the president is also moving. And so since Nigerians want to see results and there will be reforms, I envisage that there will be reforms, I expect that the National Assembly should be thorough in terms of legislative actions that will back up some of the reforms that the executive, will initiate.
On resumption, the Senate and House of Representatives are expected to produce and present legislative agendas to guide the operations for the next 4 years.
Setting the legislative agenda for this 10th National Assembly shouldn't just be about saying that, yes, we have 10-point agenda, we have 9-point agenda. It will really be about ensuring that in it, the core functions of the National Assembly is embedded and it will actually be carried out. So if you ask me, the priority should be oversight, oversight, oversight.
Like previous assemblies, the 10th National Assembly will most likely amend the 1999 Constitution and the Electoral Act, and keen observers of Parliament are desirous of some specific amendments.
Now, there are still some constitutional issues that need to be addressed. The 10th National Assembly should prioritize the financial independence and autonomy of local government areas in Nigeria so that we can begin to build democracy from the very low levels.
When you talk in terms of elections, the Electoral Offences Commission, the bill was pending in the last assembly. It should be one of the first bills we expect the 10th National Assembly to revisit.
One of the early legislative actions the National Assembly will be executing is screening and confirming President Bola Tinubu's ministerial nominees, which he is constitutionally mandated to submit to the National Assembly within 60 days of assuming office. Former President Muhammadu Buhari signed into law this constitutional provision before he left office. But analysts want President Tinubu to go a step further by attaching the portfolios of the ministerial nominees to be sent to the Senate for confirmation. They also want the Senate to properly screen these nominees.
It will also be an opportunity for us to say, Mr. President, why don't you act differently from your predecessors? Can you attach the portfolios so that these senators can be guided in terms of the questions that they will be asking each individual?
I think the senators this time around should look at the quality of persons sent to the National Assembly for confirmation. They should look at the quality of people. It shouldn't be based on sentiments. And I also advise Mr. President, looking at the way the economy is, we should look at technocrats, people that we believe they have what it takes to, support this country to recover the economy.
The 10th Assembly is expected to resume on the 4th of July. Nigerians will be looking to their representatives in the National Assembly to provide legislative interventions to the many challenges confronting the country, as well as cushioning the effects of the removal of petroleum subsidy. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
In part 2 after the break, Channels Television's data analyst Babajide Ogusawo joins us in the studio to discuss the appointment of new service chiefs and its implications for the country's security. Join us again.
Here's to the born hustlers, to the intentional ones, to the tireless nourishers, to the odd defiers, to those who break through the limits, to those who always go for it.
Good morning. My life is a whole lot easier now, even when I'm working from home. I still get everything done. Work on track. And faster too. Guys, I'll make my decision and get back to you. I take my meetings uninterrupted. Video call Catherine. Calling Catherine. Checking with Bay. No cracks. Go, go, go. Behind you, behind you. And when it's time to bond with my friends across the globe, I connect seamlessly, all thanks to my Airtel router. Delivery is here. Thank you. Be like me. Stay connected always with the Airtel home broadband. Who are you talking to? It's nothing. You're talking to me? No.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Progress. It is like the tireless rise of the sun, eager for day to break, so that it can take on the world. And that is why, when we travel beyond the land of our birth, we are not afraid to start afresh in search of our glory.
This is the sound of progress. Ebubedike, nwanne bụ nwanne, nwoke na-etiti ụmụ nwoke, ịlọghachila n'ebube. Enjoy the new taste of progress.
Every morning is an opportunity to take your hustle to the next level. Every morning is one day closer to your ambition. So, make every morning count. Cup after cup, morning after morning. Start strong, finish strong. Nescafe.
She is strong. She is active, a thoroughbred professional, and a top performer. She starts her day with a good meal and supports her systems with Didion's syrup of hemoglobin vitamin B12. Take 2 to 3 spoonfuls of Didion's daily, straight or mixed with your favorite beverage.
To be healthy, strong and active, I say, take Didion's.
Didion's syrup of hemoglobin vitamin B12, the power to unleash.
Take it from me, the mind-blowing way to do things is the Glow LTE advanced way. When you stream, it's like you're in the drama itself. When you make calls, you reach where others can't. Cookie! Doing business is like running Wall Street from your street. And when you play,
I did beat the guy. We'll see about that.
It's like traveling the world without moving an inch.
Is that Toby in your room?
You can download in the blink of an eye in 4K.
Go, go.
And when you go for your dreams, It's like running with the strength of 3 nations behind you.
Glow LTE Advanced, the power of 3 data networks in one. Get a Glow SIM or dial *301#.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Acting Inspector General of Police Olukayode Egbetokun assures Nigerians have improved security of lives and property with the backing of new policing techniques in the offing. Troops of Nigerian Army bust baby-making factory and human trafficking camp in Adamawa State, northeast Nigeria, arrest 7 suspects. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project says CBN's directive directing banks to obtain information on customers' social media handles violate Nigerians' rights to freedom of expression and privacy. And calm returns after heavily armed Russian mercenaries withdraw from the southern Russian city of Rostov under a deal that halted their rapid advance on Moscow. In a move to enhance access to tertiary education in Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu has signed the Student Loan Bill into law, ushering a new era for education funding in Nigeria. The act opens the doors to affordable education and has a straightforward, streamlined application documentation process. Our next report gives a breakdown of the act as well as reactions that have trailed the signing of the bill into law.
It is the fulfillment of the election promise for President Bola Tinubu as he signs the Students' Loan Bill into law, ushering a new dawn for education financing in Nigeria. The bill, which is one of the last pieces of legislation passed by the 9th Assembly, seeks to provide easy access to higher education for indigent Nigerians through interest-free loans from the Nigerian Education Loan Fund.
If we all believe that education is the greatest weapon against poverty, then we have to invest in it. And that poverty should not prevent anybody, any child, including the daughter or son of a wood seller or boli seller or yam seller, from attaining their high standard of education to eliminate poverty.
On your mandate, Bola, on your mandate, on your mandate, we shall stand.
The National Association of Nigerian Students receives the news with gratitude. However, they have a demand.
With this bill, now a lot of higher institutions will be increasing fees because they will tell that you have access, go and get loan first to pay the fees. Now we are pleading that at least we should have a uniform benchmark.
Nevertheless, who are those qualified to access the loan? Section 17 of the Act provides the conditions for eligibility, and they include admission into a Nigerian public university. Annual income limit must not exceed 500,000 naira per annum, and guarantors.
However, students can be disqualified from accessing the loan if the student is proven to have defaulted on any previous loan granted by any organization if the student is convicted of felony, fraud or drug offences, examination malpractice and parental loan default. Although the Act does not provide a loan cap, the process for obtaining the loan is stated in Section 16 of the Act, which must be completed within 14 days. The disbursement is expected to be made within 30 days. The government plans to establish the Nigerian Education Bank with funds drawn from education bonds, education endowment fund schemes, 1% of all taxes, levies and duties from FRS, customs and immigration, 1% of all profit from oil and other minerals, including revenue accruing to the fund from any other source.
The president has directed that he wants to see that by September, October, this 2023-2024 academic session, he wants to see recipients of this loan. So it's a very, very serious match for us. So from between now and then, we have to fine-tune the processes for people to get loans.
Beneficiaries of the loan are expected to begin repayment 2 years after completion of the National Youth Service Corps. The repayment will be facilitated through a direct deduction of 10% of the beneficiary's salary at source by the employer, either in the private or public sector. Self-employed beneficiaries must remit 10% of their total monthly profit of the fund. However, any individual who commits an offence and upon conviction is liable to a fine of 500,000 naira or imprisonment for a term of 2 years or both. This emphasizes the importance of adhering to the repayment obligations.
There should be a time period when to pay back also the money. If you don't pay back, the physical punishment will be levied on you. Now, every bill, no bill is perfect. Just like no human organization is very perfect. No human being is very perfect except God. So every bill may have its own problem. When will you know the problem? When you start implementing it. So for now, you may not know which area is not good and which area is good.
The provision that beneficiaries are expected to pay after 2 years. In this country of unemployment, I anticipate a lot of our graduates that might benefit from this. I use the word might, I will soon tell you why. That might benefit from this act might end up in prison.
The loan repayment terms and penalties aim to ensure timely and responsible payment, contributing to the sustainability of the scheme and the availability of funds for future students.
Let's head back and talk more security, and this time from the northwest part of the country, where the Sokoto State Police Command has confirmed the killing of Usman Buda, a butcher in Sokoto, the state capital. Now, Mr. Buda was reportedly stoned to death by an angry mob over remarks considered to be an insult to the Prophet Muhammad. The incident occurred at the Sokoto abattoir on Sunday. Now, the Sokoto police spokesperson Ahmad Rufai, who confirmed the incident in the press release, said the command deployed its officers to the scene of the incident immediately after it received a distress call. According to him, on arrival, the mob escaped the scene and left the victim unconscious, where he was rescued and taken to the Usman Dan Fodio Teaching Hospital, Sokoto, for treatment, and was later confirmed dead at the hospital. Meanwhile, the Sokoto State Governor, Ahmed Aliu Sokoto, has called on the people of the state to remain calm and law-abiding following the incident. The governor cautioned the people against any act capable of degrading the personality of the Prophet Muhammad, especially in a state like Sokoto, which is predominantly a Muslim-dominated community. Nigeria's defense team, as you already know, has a new look, a team that will shape the future of Nigeria's defense and also provide leadership on Africa's security. Babajide Ogunsonwo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to share insights about the latest security maneuvers of President Bola Tinubu. It's great to have you again, Babajide.
Good evening.
So we're looking at the new appointment of military chiefs. Let me start by asking you, despite the Global Terrorism Index reporting that terrorism in Nigeria's northeast has significantly reduced, The president, Bola Tinubu, has still gone ahead to, or has decided, to appoint new military chiefs. Let me start by asking you, what's your reaction, first of all?
So first, the statistics, recent statistics shows, yes, terrorism has significantly reduced in the northeast region. But beyond the statistics, clearly the president is looking at other things. And I think there are three things that made him make this decision. The first is, it's not just about the senior officers, it's about the junior officers. And so by this appointment, it gives career growth opportunities for the junior officers. First reason. Now, the second reason is also an interesting reason, Ayo. By this move, the president has passed a vote of confidence on the military. And I'll explain why. These new service chiefs are from no other country or institution but Nigeria. New service chiefs were not picked from any other country. They were still picked from the military. So a vote of confidence on the military. Implicitly, it's also a vote of confidence on the retired service chiefs, because the new chief of defense staff, chief of army, chief of naval staff, chief of air staff, all at some point had worked under those that are now being retired. And so the second reason, like I said, the first reason is opportunities for not just the senior officers, but for junior officers, career growth opportunities. The second reason, it's a vote of confidence on our institution, the military institution, and yes, a vote of confidence on the leadership. Now, the third, and perhaps the most strategic reason, is what I classify as collateral damage. And what I mean by collateral damage is what we've seen President Tinubu do in these first 30 days is that he's trying to stand and take a position departure from the past. And so in taking that position, a lot of unintended consequences are likely to happen. But
unintended consequences?
Yes.
In parentheses or underline?
Exactly.
Please go ahead.
Collateral damage. But the summary is, if we want to really look at the situation, we need to look at the assessment of the retiring service chiefs, expectations of the current service chiefs, and the expectations, yes, even for President Tinubu. So let's take a look at that first point. What is the world saying about these service chiefs that have been retired? And if we take a look at the extracts from the 2023 Global Terrorism Index, two things comes out strong. In that report, they say that the Islamic State of West Africa recorded its lowest number of attacks and deaths since 2020. And now this is coming from the latest Global Terrorism Index report, showing that terrorism in Nigeria is currently at its lowest. Let's take a look at that second part. The impact of terrorism continues to decline in Nigeria. Total deaths decreasing from 497 in 2021 to 385 in 2022. And the number of terrorist attacks in Nigeria also fell considerably, with 120 incidents recorded in 2022 compared to 214 in 2021. The Global Terrorism Index further states that these numbers are the lowest number of terrorist attacks and deaths since 2011. And so if we take a look at that perspective from statistics, the retired service chiefs, yes, the numbers look good for them. However, like I said, three major reasons, going by history and looking at what the president has done, has informed the decisions he has taken. Promoting and creating career growth opportunities for younger officers, not just the senior officers, wanting to make sure that the institution survives. And so, yes, it's a vote of confidence on the military institution and those that had headed it before. And clearly, like I said, collateral damage.
Interesting, Babajide. Now, of course, so now we talk about, from what we saw there while you were talking about the numbers concerning the terrorism in Nigeria. Let's talk about the other reliable ways. Apart from the Global Terrorism Index, is there any other reliable measure to national security and defense issues, really?
And so, again, just like corruption, you have Transparency International being the global watchdog for corruption. The Global Terrorism Index is the watchdog for terrorism cases and security cases around the world. But one other way is to ask the citizens, ask Nigerians, how do you feel about security. And that is how and what those sort of numbers that the new service chiefs have to focus on. And if we take a look at what the numbers are, what are the people saying, it also provides insight as to about what the new service chiefs have to focus on, because these are Nigerians' feedback. And I'd like to spend a bit of time to explain what's in front of us. January 2021, when the retired service chiefs were appointed in the Northwest, when the question was asked, is security improving in the Northwest, 41% of those that responded said, yes, security is improving. Now, as the new service chiefs come in, we see that those numbers are pretty much the same. So in the Northwest, the new service chiefs have to be able to look at new ideas to improve security assessment from the citizens. Let's look at the North Central. When the previous service chiefs, retired service chiefs came in, those that were interviewed, 41% said security is improving. Those numbers have slightly gone down in the North Central. Now 39% of those say security is improving. So clearly that is an area in red. But three major green areas, the Northeast, the Southwest, and the South-South. In the Northeast, 2 years ago, January, when the retiring service chiefs came in the Northeast, 45% said security is improving. Now those numbers have improved, 57% a positive. In the Southwest, 2 years ago, 49% said security is improving. Again, we see good feedback from the Southwest, 52%. And in the South-South, good feedback. 2 years ago, 44%, now 46%. However, in the Southeast, again, indifferent. 47% 2 years ago, still at 47%. The summary is
a lot of work still needs to be done there.
Still a lot of work still needs to be done. So a lot of pressure is going to come on the new service chiefs from families in the Northwest, in the North Central, and in the Southeast. Families in the Northeast, Southwest, and South-South will be hoping that things will keep getting better.
All right, so going by historical trends, I mean, what's the outlook for security and defense, let's say, in the next 3 months?
Again, there are a lot of ways to look at this thing, Ayo. First is we should expect some appointments, reappointments, redeployments. The president, in a break from history, appointed some junior officers, majors, colonels. So it'll be interesting to see what these new service chiefs will do with those junior appointments the president had made. But what Nigerians are asking is, they didn't vote for the service chiefs. They voted for president candidate Tinubu. So now that we're talking security, we need to reassess the promises made by then candidate Tinubu. And so let's take a look at the core security promises, the core security and defense promises that were made by then candidate Bola Tinubu. Expectations within the short term, not even the long term, is that domestic production of essential military hardware will commence, increase in security personnel, enhance training, especially aerial surveillance training, and improve the welfare of men and women of the armed forces, which means more budget, create that anti-terrorist battalion squad you talked about, forest guard force, focus reforms on the police and NSCDC, improve border monitoring and control and patrol, and rehabilitating the Lake Chad Basin and ecosystem. Now, we haven't seen the president make any big moves on these key promises.
As of yet.
As of yet. Still early days, but these are the promises that he will be held, that he will be judged by. And so, yes, we're quickly counting down to his first 100 days. Interesting days ahead. And in the days ahead, we will look at what role will non-security play, non-security indicators play in the performance of even those that have been appointed to man security, especially like the situation in Sudan. Don't forget, Ayo, Sudan, only one country separates Nigeria from Sudan, Chad. And so there are lots of things that affects Nigeria's security. External countries, poverty, lack of access to good education. And so this new security chiefs will be judged by even things that are not in their control. For instance, time is not in your control.
Time is not in my control. I will definitely leave it at that. So thank you once again for your thoughts on the news at 10. And now to politics. Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello is advising members of the All Progressives Congress in the state to be united, irrespective of religion and political affiliation, to develop the state for future generations. Governor Bello stated this in Lokoja, the state capital, when the forum of former political office holders from the 21 local government areas of the state paid him a courtesy visit. The governor asked them to work with the existing structures of the party at the grassroots for the success of the party in the November 11 governorship election.
These are members of the Forum of Former Political Office Holders in Kogi State. Their membership cuts across the 239 wards of the 21 local government areas of the state. They are paying a visit to Governor Yahaya Bello at the Government House, Lokoja, to assure him of their support during the forthcoming governorship election in the state. In his address, the chairman of the forum, Mr. Musa Adakeke, congratulates the governor for the national award bestowed on him. He also appeals to the governor to effect the payment of their outstanding allowances.
I want to personally appeal to you to, as a matter of urgency, direct the Ministry for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs to pay our severance allowances to cushion the effect of the hardship we are currently passing through, as many of us can no longer feed our families, we can no longer pay our hospital and AEDC bills, and our children's school fees, which have resulted in the death of some of our colleagues, and some are battling with stroke and other illness.
In his remarks, the APC governorship candidate, Usman Ododo, commends Governor Bello for his leadership style, assuring him that he would follow in his footsteps if given the mandate in the forthcoming general election.
Excellency, you continue to be the marker of our scorecard. My own assignment is to galvanize with the security agencies, to collaborate with them to ensure peace and security of our dear state. My own assignment is to continue to supervise the existing projects as far as Kogi State is concerned.
This state belongs to all of us. Let's not allow anybody to bring mundane issue to come and further divide us. Whether religion or tribe or class difference. I've never treated anyone differently, or any region or senatorial district differently. But for this game that we are in,
this celebration, captioned "Go to Niger" by the people of Abonema community in the Sokoto local government area of River State, is a historic event celebrated.
Let's head to Benue State, where the 23 local government chairmen have vowed not to obey the governor's directive to proceed on suspension as recommended by the State House of Assembly. Now, briefing journalists in Makodi on the Assembly resolution, the chairmen say they have briefed their lawyers to file a contempt suit against the state government for failing to respect an earlier injunction restraining it from sacking them from office.
23 local government chairmen elected on the platform of the opposition People's Democratic Party in a meeting with Governor Hyacinth Alia on June the 20th to turn in their reports of income and expenditure.
Today, we wish to thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
At that meeting, Governor Alia assured them that he has no plans to dissolve the local councils.
I'm looking at what works, and what works is how to keep the system moving and the right thing that will bring growth to us. They said dissolution, that's not on my mind, as I'm speaking. I want to get the best hands and the best mind and the best brains that can uplift Benue and take us to the higher heights.
Things, however, took a different turn a few days later after the governor had received and probably gone through the audit report from the 23 local councils. He forwarded same to the State Assembly for investigation. The state legislators deliberated on the report and resolved to suspend the local government chairman from office. The chairman held a press conference in Benue State to lay out their position on the suspension. They will not obey the directive to hand over before 2024, they say. They are also suing the state government.
We do not recognize the purported directives issued from the Benue State House of Assembly and the Bureau of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs that we and the entire elected Legislative Council of our respective areas have been suspended from office, and we will not comply with any instruction thereto.
We instructed our lawyer to file a contempt of court against the state government and the House of Assembly, the SSG, and the Bureau for Local Government.
The Chief Press Secretary to Governor Alia has a word of advice for the council chairman. According to him, there is no hidden agenda in the suspension directive.
Nobody has sacked them as far as the government of Reverend Father Hyacinth Imam Alia is concerned. Nobody has sacked them. They are only asked to step aside for a seamless investigation.
The political jostling in Benue State since the March 2023 governorship election has festered. Hopefully, it will not become a distraction from the good governance the citizens expect.
It's been 4 years since we first told you the story of trade by barter in Makun Omi and Ogun Waterside community. Since then, several changes have occurred in the community, and our correspondent Chris Ilems visited and now brings you this report.
Okay, now she's not ready to. Not many thought this mode of exchange still existed until we visited Ajebo Market in Makun Omi, Ogun Waterside. It's been 4 years, and we took another trip there. It's over a 2-hour drive from Abeokuta, the state capital. Though still very quiet, much has however changed. The roads are better. The market has new stalls, and there are several street lights provided by the community.
I can remember the last time you came, Makun wasn't like this. But when you came today, you saw something else. And what you saw, it was the channel television effort that bring all these things. I will want to use this opportunity to thank the federal government of their presence here, maybe because of what they saw in the television.
You know, we had serious issues of erosion in the past, but we're happy that the appropriate authorities intervened. You know, the Ecological Fund, they were here and did a lot of drainage work, and then the road.
It's another market day, and the jetty is busy as traders arrive with their wares. The seaweed is creating a new challenge for them. Despite all odds, especially one posed by the presence of the seaweed, these traders who have come from different parts of the country have continued to push to be part of this 9-day market in Makun Omi that has become sort of a phenomenon. When night falls, the Ajebo market comes alive. Not everything is exchanged by barter, though. But those who practice it have kept an age-long tradition alive. It is wet tonight, but it appears that the last report we had some level of impact. You can see some open stores constructed for these traders in Ajebo Market by the federal government. They're happy about it because they can still do businesses even while it is wet.
As you see, there's no lights inside the market, and our people, they're always selling in the night till daybreak. So we are begging federal government to come and do more.
By daybreak, the traders are set to return home with what's left of their goods. The people are proud of what they have and are grateful we came.
I can say it boldly that from this market, they take fish to Port Harcourt, they take fish to Oshogbo, they take fish to far away places.
Our light on Makun Omi, the last of the Ijebu town on land, has inspired some changes for people who have continued to identify with their customs and traditions. They hope that when next we'll visit, sometimes in future, their market will be well lit up, the hospital fully functional, and the yellow roof revolution of the state government is extended to their schools. Chris Elems, Channels Television News.
Two imported consignments of a strong strain of cannabis with a combined weight of 5.3 kilograms have been intercepted by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, along the Ekpe-Lekki corridor and at the Alpha Beach, Lekki area of Lagos State. The agency had laid ambush for a white truck conveying the illicit substances, and the truck driver later jumped out of the vehicle and escaped in a security van escorting the truck after the anti-narcotics officers demobilized that vehicle. Well, also, officers of the Marine Command of the agency, acting on intelligence, intercepted a boat loaded with same imported substance weighing 2.9 kilograms around Alpha Beach upon arrival from Ghana, where two Ghanaians found with the consignments were arrested. Two suspects in Niger State have also been arrested along Abuja Expressway with 31 jumbo bags of skunk weighing 517 kilograms, while the 30-year-old Amina Alilu was arrested with 171 kilograms of the substance at Ogbogodo village in Dekina local government area of Kogi State. In the Ilori of Kwara State, a suspected fake female security agent, Ogedegbe Dorcas, was apprehended at Ajegunle Asha Dam area with 30 kilograms of cannabis, amongst other successes recorded by the agency. Over 5,000 illegal occupants have been dislodged by operatives of the Lagos State Task Force on Environmental and Special Offences from the Oniru coastal area in Etiosa local government of the state. The early morning operation caught most of the residents unawares. While speaking on the demolition, the task force chairman, Shola Jejeloye, explains that this latest operation is the final lap, as the unit had on two occasions cleared parts of the long stretch of road.
Once occupying this long stretch of the western coastline in Oniru area of Lagos are mainly youth of different extractions and those from neighboring countries. Operatives of the Lagos State Task Force on Environmental and Special Offences are here for the final phase of dislodging these illegal occupants along the coastline. It is a third of such operation, and the officers are not budging this time. The occupiers stand and watch helplessly as their shanties are set ablaze, and scavengers glean what they can.
The operation here is done and dusted. As you can see, it's ground zero. First week of May, I told them that you people operate block industry and mechanic workshop, ensure that no shanties, spring up here again, which they refused to listen to us. And that is what has necessitated this next and the last phase of our enforcement. And I can assure you, we have zero tolerance for environmental nuisance. We will not allow them to come back. Not that they will just wake up, they take alcohol, they take drugs, and the moment there is little traffic on Lekki Expressway, all these boys will mobilize in large number and begin to terrorize motorists. But in the last 2 months, this has drastically reduced.
As at the time you came here this morning, what can you say is the population was when you came here?
The population has drastically reduced. There is improvement. At least we have achieved more than 80%, of our expectation even before we came here this morning.
The unit chairman says the operation will be extended to other areas of the state, while plans are in motion by government to make wise use of the cleared environment.
We are extending the operation to Fagba, because all the way from Fagba to Sokoto to Pen Cinema, like ×2 of what we have on Coastal Road, we are equally extending this operation here. We will make sure that no breeding space for people that are constituting environmental nuisance in Lagos.
Now that the operation has been concluded and sizable manpower deployed, residents say they can now breathe fresh air and rest a bit easy. But they still want urgent government intervention in keeping the area safe and crime-free.
Outside our shores, world leaders have been trying to make sense of recent moves by Wagner Group mercenaries' mutiny among Russian forces fighting in Ukraine. The Russian President Vladimir Putin, in his reaction, decried head of the group, Yevgeny Prigozhin's actions as treason, but the Kremlin says Prigozhin and his troops will not be prosecuted. The deal to end the rebellion came from negotiations between Prigozhin and the Belarus leader Alexander Lukashenko. Time now for some sports news. Rivers United have qualified for the Niger Super 6 finals that will hold in Lagos next month. The Pride of Rivers this evening defeated Federation Cup champions Bendel Insurance 3-2 at the Eket Stadium in Akwa Ibom State to progress from the South-South playoffs. Rivers United now join Katsina United, Lobi Stars, Remo Stars, Yobe Stars and Eyimba International as the 6 teams that qualified from the playoffs and will join 2 seeded teams in the finals in Lagos from July the 7th to the 16th at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Oniko. Earlier in the day, Katsina United edged Kano Pillars 1-0 in the Northwest playoffs at the same venue. It was a busy Sunday in the world of sports with interesting results in the finals of Wimbledon warm-up events in London and Germany. The organizers of the FIFA Women's World Cup were not left out as the big day draws near. Here is a wrap-up of how these sporting events played out.
Over 4,000 football fans march across the Sydney Harbour Bridge waving flags and cheering earlier today as organizers mark 25 days to the FIFA Women's World Cup holding in Australia and New Zealand. Head of FIFA Women's World Cup, Brandon Martin, says excitement for the tournament is a sign of how the game has grown.
Really, we've seen how women's football has developed here in Australia over the last years, and we know that this is going to be a milestone. It's going to be a watershed moment, really, for women's football to be even more popular in this country.
20 years old. Please welcome onto centre court.
In London, Carlos Alcaraz will return to world #1 on Monday after beating Alex de Minaur 6-4, 6-4 to win his first title on grass at Queen's Club. The Spaniard's 5th title of the season moves him back ahead of 23-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic at the top of the rankings. Elsewhere, Kazakhstan's Alexander Bublik beats 3rd seed Andrei Rublev in 3 sets to win the biggest title of his career at the Halle Open. Bublik won 6-3, 3-6, 6-3, and the final of the traditional Wimbledon warm-up tournament in Germany. To the racetrack, Francesco Bagnaia has taken another step towards defending his World MotoGP title, winning the Dutch MotoGP to extend his lead in the championships. He takes a 35-point lead over Jorge Martin in the summer break, with racing resuming in early August at the British Grand Prix in Silverstone.
And the main news again. The Acting Inspector General of Police, Olukayode Egbetukun, today assured Nigerians of improved security of lives and property in all ramifications. And Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP said the CBN's directive directing banks to obtain information on customers' social media handles violate Nigerians' rights to freedom of expression and privacy. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. You have a good night.
This string of recognitions brings channels, televisions, cameras to Guildford, the county town of Surrey in southern England. Welcome to Diaspora Network. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Today, we follow a Nigerian-British Director of Compliance at Setford Solicitors, Pearl Moses. She's been recognized for helping to make the UK legal sector more diverse